Hey there, it's Shauna. Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for July 2nd. This week is all about meeting challenge with passion. So we have a lot of passion energy this week, a lot of fieriness, and I'm excited to share the astrology of this week with you. And as always, I'll have 3 tips for you to make the most out of this week. So let's get started. The first aspect that we have this week is the Sun will trine Jupiter and Neptune. And so it'll trine Jupiter on Thursday and then Neptune on Saturday. And so this is an aspect that is around realizing or connecting to your hopes, your dreams, your wishes, your ideals. It feels like a time of renewal to me. The Sun is in the sign of Cancer. The Sun is about the healthy sense of ego, the personality, where it is that you shine, and the energy that we have to give. And this is connecting with Jupiter, which is about expanding, inclusion, learning new things, opening up to new possibilities. And Neptune, which is about fantasy and dreams, can also be illusion or disillusionment or not seeing things clearly. So this aspect, it definitely has this like vibe of feeling kind of like more connected to your dream state and to imagination, to creativity, but also where things may not feel as clear. This is a trine aspect though, so it's probably going to be more subtle and not something that's going to like hit you over the head that you're going to notice as much, but definitely something that you can tap into as far as if you work a lot with dreams, this is a great week for it. If you do any creative work, any creative writing, and even if you're just trying to change something in your life right now, it's a great time for imagining what it is that you want. What is that ideal for you? Where is it that you really want to be? And then the other thing that's happening this week is the last quarter moon in the sign of Aries. So this is happening on Friday, early Friday morning, so you'll probably be feeling it Thursday, Friday. The last quarter phase of the moon, that point, is a time of getting closure. It's a time of internal confrontation and really making peace with yourself, making peace with something, and making peace with the situations in your life. This is in the sign of Aries. So Aries is really about fire, it's about passion, it's about going forward and meeting with conflict and confrontation in a healthy way. And it's about, like, I feel like this energy, this last quarter moon, because it's in the sign of Aries, it may be where it's very beneficial for you to go and do the thing that it is that you need to do, to take quick action, to initiate. I wouldn't necessarily like put things on the back burner to think about later if it's something that is asking for your attention now. And that's not to say that you need to do everything that's on your plate now, but it's like if there's something that, like, this is not a good time for procrastination, I guess is what I'm thinking, because Aries wants to confront, Aries wants to engage. And so as much as you can do that with yourself, that's really healthy this week. And then the last aspect that we have this week is Mercury opposite Mars. And so this is very dynamic. Mercury is related to thought processes and communication. It's how you give and receive communication. It's how you think about things, speech, all of that stuff. And then Mars has like an Aries kind of theme to it. Mars is about action, initiation. Mars symbolizes what it is that we want to fight for, or how it is that we fight for something, how it is that we take action, take charge. And so the thought process and the words and the communication with the take charge and the action and the initiation, this could be many different things. Among them, it could be a strong feeling of wanting to assert yourself in a verbal way, wanting to get something off of your chest, needing to voice your opinion. It could be where maybe like if you feel like you have been wronged in some way, or someone else has been wronged, or something is not right, where there's like this desire to say so and to say what is right or to say what is not right, even if it's not about things being right or wrong, or just like this calling to speak. And so this could also be feeling like you want to speak more assertively. It could even be a sense of like frustration or agitation, because Mercury and Mars, that combination, it can feel kind of like prickly. Like there could be like a sense of mental frustration or mental annoyances. And so if you feel that way, I want you to notice what it is that brings that up for you, and where maybe you need to speak or you need to act, or maybe you need to do both. A lot of that could come up this week. So I have 3 tips for you. Tip number 1 is to prioritize. And so I say that because we do have that Sun, Trine, Jupiter, and Neptune. And so that can, especially if you have your natal chart tapping into those transits, if you have planets in the sign of Cancer or Pisces, or Scorpio, it can really tap you into this like dream world where you want to do everything and you want everything to be perfect and amazing. So really important this week to prioritize, because although there's that openness this week, there is also a certain sense within the lunar cycle, the moon phase of the last quarter, where there's a need to wrap things up, to start to get closure on the more immediate aspects of life or immediate aspects of projects. So that's tip number 1, to prioritize. And tip number 2 is to find the passion in agitation. So if you are agitated, if you are anxious, if there's something that's bothering you, I want you to connect with passion that is there. So if there is something that someone does that annoys you, or a situation that annoys you, where is it that's like that you feel that you can connect to like a sense of excitement about either the opposite of that, or if things were to be done differently? Like what is it? I want you to think about like unraveling the frustration or unraveling the anxiety this week, because there's something there, especially because we have this Mercury opposite Mars, and Mars is also retrograde. So this is a time where we're really thinking about how it is that we do, how it is that we assert ourselves, how it is that we act. And so I want you to think about that. Mars is very much related to both passion and agitation. So that's tip number 2, to connect with passion inside of the agitation if you can. And then tip number 3 is to connect with the Serenity Prayer. And so the Serenity Prayer, of course, I meant to write it down on my notes before I filmed this, and I did not. And so I always fudge it up, but I hope that you'll know what I'm talking about. So the Serenity Prayer is asking to realize, to have the courage and the strength to meet the challenges that you have the wisdom to accept the challenges that you can't change, and then to have the wisdom to know the difference. I feel like I fucked it up, but I hope you know what I'm saying. I'll like post it here or something like that. But it's basically like, how can you have the courage to meet something that needs your action, that needs your initiation? And how can you have the compassion to accept something that cannot be changed in your life? And then the wisdom to know the difference between those two. Like where do you need to act, and then where do you need to accept and surrender? And sometimes we need both, sometimes we need one more than the other depending on the situation, but we definitely need both. And that's a big theme for this week and the whole next month with Mars being retrograde, because we're really working through how it is, again, that we act and assert ourselves. And also, I think too, because we're going into eclipse season, we'll have our first eclipse of the season starting next week. And so it is this time of like, where do you act? Where do you take advantage of an opportunity? And then where do you let go and surrender? It's kind of this balance between those. And if you want to find more about either of those topics, the Mars retrograde or the eclipses, you can watch Neo Feminine TV. I did an episode on each of those. So that being said, I'm going to pull a card for us for this week. Okay, so this is a card to symbolize the energy of this week. And one card for the most helpful helpful energy. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is the Queen of Swords. It's also the Queen of Spades. And so this is the Illuminated Tarot deck. So the Queen of Swords, queens are always about like this regal feminine sense of presence. It's a sense of strength that is rooted and grounded and has like more of a quality of holding versus strength that's being imposed on someone. There's like a soft strength. And the suit of the swords is about the mind. Swords are related to the intellect, the mind, communication. Very appropriate for this week, since we have that Mars and Mercury with the mind and the thought process. So what this card really says to me is that it's important to hold a healthy sense of feminine energy, like this sense of receptivity and the energy of listening and like letting things be instead of trying to act too much, and like holding, and then really tapping into doing that even at an intellectual level too. So this is something that I've been really thinking about lately, that I can't remember if I talked about it on a recent Neo-Feminine TV episode. I was thinking about it if I didn't talk about it. But like even this sense of allowing a lull to happen in the conversation when you're talking to someone, and allowing for that space for the other person to bring something up, and like not needing to fill the space, like allowing for that space even at a mental level as much as we can. So that is your card for the week. That was your horoscope for the week. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, please share it with a friend who you think would appreciate it too. And if you want to get more of me, you can find me on Neo-Feminine TV. So that's a live weekly broadcast that I do every single Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And so that's live on YouTube. I talk about all different things, not just astrology, but it's basically what I call it, inspiration and guidance for sensitive souls. And so this week we're going to be talking about living with symbolism and living with ritual, and how to do that in a very practical way that doesn't have to be fancy and woo-woo, and how that can really help you connect with yourself and really just like manage your life in the world too. So we'll be talking about that this week. Last week we did an episode on the eclipses and Mars retrograde. So if you want to find out more, I'll have a link down below. You can watch those on neofemininetv.fireside.com. And if you want to connect with me also, you can find me on Instagram under Neo-Feminine Astrology. And if you're interested in working with me, I do astrological coaching and counseling. You can find out more about that on neofemininetv.fireside.com. I'm wishing you an amazing week, sending lots of love, and I'll talk to you soon. Namaste.